In the fall, when the pears are ripe, I love these cozy afternoons in the kitchen that so remind me of my German grandmother and how she would bake cakes that we would enjoy for coffee and cake in the afternoon. My good German friend Natasha just called me and said, hey, I have a bunch of pears. Would you like to come by and get some? And I think it's perfect. I want to bake a pear cake, and this would be, or maybe a pie, but this would be absolutely perfect. And there's nothing better than homegrown pears, locally, super fresh, super ripe. I am actually trying to keep these traditions alive that I inherited and lived through when I was growing up in Germany. And I do remember my grandparents actually would take a nap just around after lunchtime, which was really funny because we all had to be really quiet and let them sleep for, or nap, or whatever they were doing for an hour and a half. And at 3 p.m., their door would open, they would go in the kitchen and make a pot of coffee for the afternoon coffee and cake, which is Kaffee und Kuchen in the afternoon. My grandmother always had some cake that she had baked, and none of these were really fancy cakes except for the special occasion, but mostly they were just everyday kind of cakes, and she would probably thaw or have something that she had just recently baked, and maybe there were 2 different types of cakes. She would put them out on the coffee table, and we would have this coffee and cake in the afternoon. I don't really know how back in the day we had breakfast, we had lunch, we had coffee and cake, and then we had supper without all being overweight, but somehow that worked and we did it. But also, those pieces of cakes that we had were really small and we didn't have huge portions. That was another thing. What was so fun about their place was that they had a huge garden with apple trees and cherry trees and plum trees and pear trees. And I feel like my grandmother would always make the most out of the seasonal harvest, which my grandfather would climb on a ladder and pick all the apples with these cherry pickers and fruit pickers and schlep them into the kitchen for my grandmother to make something with. When she was baking, I remember this very fondly, she was always humming, and she was moving about the kitchen swiftly and with very experienced, basically somebody who is very comfortable in the kitchen and who does this all the time. There was never a rush, and I kind of miss that in this day and age where everything is just so efficient and we're always trying to get something done and move on to the next activity. And this taking time to bake, making the most of seasonal flavors and textures and tastes, I think really connects us to another world. And instead of just trying to get everything out of the freezer and doing whatever we feel like in the moment, but actually being more connected to whatever is going on around us, which I feel like is really important. And she would do that. She would do that all the time. We would sit down and we would actually take the time to have coffee and cake in the afternoon, just like lighting a candle when I'm baking, just to celebrate the season, just to celebrate that we're doing something and we're doing it with intention, we're doing it with a joy, and it's not a chore, it's not something we're trying to finish in a certain amount of time. I don't want to be dishonest and say that I always have a ton of time, because I'm also doing other things. So sometimes things have to happen within a certain time frame, but being in this moment is almost meditative, following a recipe and or even creating a new recipe, which I do all the time, creating new recipes and testing new recipes, and my family is the beneficiary of that. While this is going on, I also feel like baking is connection, family, tradition. I am often trying to make cakes that my grandmother would make, and none of them, as I said earlier, were fancy or something really elaborate and special, but mostly everyday kind of cakes. And I don't know if she used big recipes. I think she sometimes tried a little bit. What would have been really foreign to her is using sourdough. I think she would have, between smiling at me and wondering what's going on and being a little bit skeptical, because after all, she was German and Germans tend to be very skeptical of all things non-German and non-traditional. But basically sourdough for her was something that she baked bread with. And this idea of using sourdough to make cakes with, I think would have been really novel for her. And maybe we would have had this conversation. Unfortunately, she died when I was in my mid-20s, but I sometimes wish I could have this conversation with her and kind of compare notes and see what she feels like doing and how it's working for her and all these things. So I certainly miss that. But whenever I am in the kitchen, I am remembering and I'm trying to keep things simple as basically an homage to her. And a lot of what I'm using in my kitchen is actually or bowls or spoons or utensils from their house and from her kitchen. So I do feel connected not just with the recipes, but through the actual items that I am using. Something else that I really appreciate with the fall baking is how all the smells permeate the house. The cinnamon and the fruit and the butter and all the scents and smells that we get in the house. I don't need scented candles for that. I can get that from my cakes, and I also get something that we can eat, which is something that I really, really love. And of course, then there's also the taste. There's nothing better than cutting a fresh slice of sourdough zucchini bread, for which you find the recipe in the description box below, and seeing if it actually turned out as good I was hoping. And this one, like in the words of my son, I nailed this recipe, was particularly good. I also love to experiment a little bit, which is something that I don't know my grandmother, well, I think she would do that, but I don't know that she was aware of einkorn, but I know that she would love it if I came and showed her the einkorn flour. I'm also leaving a link where you can get these amazing grains and this flour online. It is something that lends itself really well to shortbread crusts, and this is an einkorn pear tart that I'm making, and I'm kind of making up the recipe. I have a basic idea of a recipe, but with these shortbread crusts, all you really need is flour and butter, really cold, and you mix them up, and then you, at some point, add a little bit of cold water just to make the dough come together. You chill the dough, and that's really essentially it. I like to make this just a little bit sweet for when I am using it for something with fruit. I sometimes also use it with quiche or other savory tarts. These tarts are actually a little bit more traditionally French than German, but I think that we can look over the border and try to adopt some other traditions and do something that other countries have been doing successfully as well. While the dough is chilling, I am going to cut the pears. And you know, when we go to the supermarket, we tend to always pick out the nicest looking fruit. But when it comes from our own tree, or in this case, from my really good friend Natasha's tree, I'm not so picky. And I kind of love the fact that they're not perfect. Sometimes there is a little worm and a little wormhole. All that's telling me is that these pears are 100% organic, never have been sprayed with anything, because even organic growers are often allowed to spray the blossoms, but not the fruit, or they're given certain loopholes. And that's why I really love using locally grown, because it has the best flavor, and you know it is absolutely free of pesticides and herbicides and whatnot. For this recipe, I am eyeballing the amount of pears I'm using, and I think I'm just going here as I'm going and seeing if that's enough. A splash of lemon will keep the pears from turning brown too soon. And I love the harvest spices, the warming spices of cinnamon. Sometimes I add a little bit of ginger or nutmeg, but for this one I only used cinnamon. And brown sugar really gives another deeper, complexer flavor that I love. And then it's going to caramelize on top of the pear tart. With a little cornstarch, I'm trying to keep the juices from flowing and overflowing, and so they actually coat the pears a little bit. I was looking for the word to describe what I was trying to say. And this is probably the right amount. Back to rolling out the dough, there's something very tactile that I also really enjoy. This is something very different, and it's just kind of like a craft. My kitchen is set up in a way that all my tools are really handy, and I do have a drawer right there with all my baking tools, and it's really easy for me to get whatever I need. This dough has been chilling for maybe half an hour, or at least until I was done cutting the pears. Rolling it out is, again, a very tactile experience, and I am really grateful that I have the quartz counters because they keep the dough kind of cool. Of course, you can always roll this out on wood or on a wooden cutting board, but quartz and marble are naturally cold and will keep the dough cold while you're rolling it out. I'm not interested in making something perfect here, like a perfectly round shape. I'm looking for the rough edges because I really wanted this to be rustic. I really wanted the emphasis on that. And while often we say the eye is eating too, so meaning that something needs to be presentable and look really nice to the eye and pleasing, I feel like with Instagram and the internet, there's so much emphasis on what something looks like more than what something tastes like. And I know that with fresh ingredients, few really high quality ingredients, which is exactly what my grandmother would have been using, no weird ingredients, no shortcuts, no artificial anything. We are really focusing on the quality of the ingredients and getting the best taste possible. Because I always feel like when you're making something with high quality ingredients, you don't need a lot. You don't need to mask any tastes or flavors that are off or maybe not strong enough, because the flavors are so good that they can stand on their own and just need a tiny little bit enhancement of a buttery einkorn crust, which has also a buttery flavor in itself and a very crumbly texture, which is just absolutely perfect. And I love that einkorn is just so much more nutritious than regular modern wheat. And this one actually came out perfect. I think it looked better than I had thought it would look, but sometimes, I try to be like, apologetic about how rustic it looks. But then I think there is something really beautiful about the rustic, natural look of it too. And this is the rustic pear tart with the einkorn crust. It did leak a little bit, but I think it just added to the homemadeness of it. It is actually fairly often that I use my grandmother's china. Here is a cake plate that you can't really see very well, but it's something that I've been cherishing because I do remember it as a kid, sitting at her coffee table with my grandfather and my parents and my siblings and having coffee and cake in the afternoon. And I love any occasion to bring it out and just feel that reconnection, feel that tradition, and feel something living on that is so much bigger than just my life or their life. And I'm going to put that out on our table and we'll serve that for the afternoon. Here it is. I thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. The recipes are in the description box below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.